So how do you keep pushing your fitness in your 50s? Intervals. So what is an interval? An interval is just working at a particular effort or power for a particular length of time. And there are hundreds of types of intervals you can do. So an interval is basically working beyond your zone 2 that we've been talking about in previous videos. If you haven't seen those, I suggest you look at those first. But basically it's working at an intensity above that, above your sort of easy riding, and working at higher levels, higher intensity levels to develop those systems. Really what we're doing when you're doing intervals, especially if you've been doing zone 2, is working at a much higher level. And there's much research recently on the fact that if you're working in zone 2 a lot, in other words riding quite easily a lot, 80%, 75% of your time, the rest of the time should be pretty hard. And that's, you know, really sort of pushing hard on the intervals. So you ride a lot at a low level, zone 2, and you work for a much shorter amount but at a much higher intensity. The shorter the interval, the more intense it can be. The longer the interval, the less intense it is. What sort of intervals can you do to start pushing your fitness? So most intervals tend to be thought of as being ones beyond your threshold or around about your threshold. Your threshold is what you can ride in an hour, and we'll do another video on that later. But if you imagine a sort of, you know, hard pace, it's a hard pace, and you can keep that up for about 30-40 minutes up to an hour, that's your sort of threshold pace. And intervals generally are above that. So why do intervals? Intervals push your body, push your energy systems to work at a higher level. We've got lots of different energy systems, from the base aerobic one to anaerobic, sprints and everything in between. But what sort of intervals should we be doing? So if you haven't got a power meter or even a heart rate monitor, you can do some really good intervals. Maybe to start off 2 minutes long, going up a local climb, a 2-minute hard effort. Not so much that you blow up in 30 seconds or a minute, but one where you feel like you're really tired and couldn't have done much more at the end of 2 minutes. Then you have a 2-minute break, roll back down the hill and do it again. Try to get 3 of those in to start off with. In the previous videos to this series, we looked at working at zone 2, an easy aerobic zone where you can have a chat while you're cycling along. Intervals should be the complete opposite. If you're working really hard, really pushing yourself, you should be pretty out of breath by the end of it. Certainly on these sort of 2-minute intervals, that's sort of, you know, expectation. If you do choose to do longer intervals, for example, if you've got climbs near you and then maybe 10, 20, 30 minutes to go up a climb, obviously you can do longer intervals, trying to do your sort of maximum pace you could do for that half an hour. Give that a go. Maybe do a 15-minute effort and then another 15-minute effort. But there are hundreds of intervals. If you ever look online for interval sessions, you will be inundated with them. But the basic idea is to push yourself much harder than you would normally One of the problems is, as you get older, you tend to do slower rides and group rides and have chats going along, which is fine. It builds up that aerobic base, but it doesn't really push your fitness. If you want to push your fitness to the next level, you've got to be working at that next level. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tick that bell icon so you'll be notified when the next video comes out.